What's going on, guys? Jacoborth back here with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas, coming to you guys with a little news update here in Las Vegas. And on this bright morning, I'm coming to you guys this news update on dispensaries in Las Vegas and the whole social lounge issue going on here. That I remember I did a video on this just recently, talking about how the city of Las Vegas okayed the use of social lounges within the city limits. So be sure to subscribe, guys, down below. I want to talk about this with you. Got some other news topics coming in the future. I think you guys are really going to like them. But this is one that a lot of you have been concerned about. A lot of you had questions about whether you live here locally or plan to live here, or whether you're one of the tourists who comes here, the 40+ million tourists we have every year, because Nevada being one of a handful of states that was one of the early ones in legalizing marijuana use recreationally. We got some weird stuff going on now with the legalization of marijuana here. And I'm actually right now out here between arguably two of the most popular dispensaries in Las Vegas. Right, you got Planet 13 right here, and then you probably can't see as well. You got Reef Dispensary right there. Let's see, yeah, right there, Reef Dispensary. So these dispensaries are actually not in the city limits. These dispensaries are governed by Clark County, which will come into play here in just a moment. So let's talk about this and what just happened recently. Okay, if you guys remember, I did the video probably just a few weeks ago about how the city of Las Vegas had just gave the okay. They gave permission for social lounges for marijuana to be used. So you could buy at the dispensary and you could just smoke it in a lounge there. Because Nevada legalized marijuana use recreationally, but one of the weird things about Nevada law is that you can only legally smoke it in your residence. So in a place like here in Las Vegas, you have over 40 million tourists a year that come here. They had nowhere that they could legally smoke their weed. Like that was part of the problem. They had nowhere they could legally consume it. So like I said in that video, I expected that to actually change sooner. The city went ahead and okayed the lounges. I thought the state would go ahead and okay it sooner than that and just handle that on its own, but that didn't happen. Well, here's what's going on now here in Las Vegas. So I'll take you guys through this article. It's written by Chris Kiadalis or something like that. I'll have to put the link to this article down below. This is a great article that gives a really good synopsis of what happened and how this came to be. So let's see. It says, earlier this month, the Nevada legislature, with the support of Governor Steve Sisolak, adopted Assembly Bill 533, which overrides the Las Vegas measure and delays the opening of any legal cannabis venues until at least July 2021. The bill, first introduced a few weeks ago, set to be signed into law by Sisolak this week, requires a new cannabis compliance board to address unspecified, this is quote-unquote, issues that have risen as a result of, again, quote-unquote, rushed cannabis policies made under former Governor Brian Sandoval. Nevada statute prevents new laws from being altered for 2 years after they're passed, so cannabis social lounges won't be open until at least July 2021. Sisolak's spokeswoman says that Sisolak believes it's better to address the issue of consumption lounges the right way rather than the quick way. So the Las Vegas City Council said, hey, you can start having social lounges. We can smoke or consume your products, within the city limits of Las Vegas, which is, from Sahara north. So like today I'm on the county side because I figured the county would follow through with that soon, and they start allowing it here because these dispensaries on this side don't want to, lose out to their competition on the other side. Well, now nobody's getting it. Now there's going to be no social lounges for at least 2 more years here in the entire state of Nevada. Let's see, they have a couple quotes here, and they've got a few things from some of the local dispensary owners here in the area. John Mueller, who owns Acres Dispensary, he built an 8,000 square foot cannabis event space in his business that he's not going to be able to use, or at least he's going to have to use it for something else. Who else? Frank Hawkins is a former Super Bowl winning running back, is another cannabis retailer who is planning to open a lounge. He's put his money into a 7,800 square foot facility, just an elevator ride from his Nevada Wellness Center, which has a dozen separate rooms with private areas for playing virtual reality games, dominoes, a recording studio, CBD product store, even a boardroom for groups that have thought about having meetings there, shuffleboard table, giant white wall with a projector, an area for vending machines, microwaves, all kinds of other stuff that, this business owner had put into his business to try to help, serve people that are coming here to Vegas and serve the local population. Now he's stuck. Okay, so now it's hurting some of these business owners who have put all kinds of money into these dispensaries, who have tried to plan for these social lounges. Now for 2 years, they got to figure out what else they're going to do. Hawkins has a very good quote here, actually. He says, it's pure politics. And this is a great question he asked in this article. It says, how does a compliance board study the efficacy of lounges when they don't even have the chance to open? Good point. It's like, if you're not going to allow lounges to open, how can you say you're actually studying them? I mean, you can look at some other states, I guess, but, you know, I think having it start in Las Vegas here on a small scale would not have been a bad idea. Now, here's the part that some of you, if you follow Nevada, you really know Nevada, and, you know, you understand how politics works, then you can understand this next part right here. Casinos don't want their customers leaving the property to enjoy cannabis at a lounge across town. So it says, if you want to know why, basically, you know, this didn't happen, it says, look no further than the 4-mile stretch of Las Vegas Boulevard known as the Strip. So that street right over there, that's just like a block away from me. Let's see, he says, home to 24 strips, so it's more than 42 million tourists. Listen to this. Listen to how much money that comes in from these mega casinos here on the Strip. It says, these casinos bring $15 billion to Nevada's economy every year in direct visitor spending. That's from the numbers from the LVCVA. It says the Strip's 3 largest corporate operators, MGM, Caesars, and Las Vegas Sands, all contribute millions to Nevada's political candidates. The gaming industry is by far the biggest political donor in the state, and its desires are rarely ignored by Nevada elected officials. And it just basically says that, you know, the cannabis industry couldn't compete politically. Nevada sold about $608 million in cannabis products during the first year. So that's what it is, $608 million, which is a lot, but it's nothing compared to the $15 billion that the casinos did. So their just political contributions weren't, you know, nearly as high as a lot of these other big operators here in town. Also, the casinos are very leery of marijuana because of its legal status federally. So there were casinos they've long been wary of all things cannabis because the belief that federal status of marijuana could put their casino profits in jeopardy. Let's see. Since adult use cannabis sales started in Nevada in 2017, Gaming Commission Chairman Tony Alamo has made it clear his stance that gaming and cannabis, quote unquote again, shall not meet until the plant becomes federally legal. State regulators have issued warnings that any gambling halls or casino resorts allowing marijuana use would have their precious gaming licenses revoked. So the casinos aren't going to risk that, obviously, because that is their money, the gambling. The city of Las Vegas' May 1 ordinance allowing cannabis lounges wouldn't technically apply to businesses on the Strip. So over on the Strip, over here, south of Sahara, they wouldn't apply because these areas here, they're governed by Clark County and the county commissioners. They're not governed by the city of Las Vegas and the Las Vegas City Council. Let's see. It said the cannabis lounge licenses were only available to retailers and city property. 12 retailers meet the eligibility standard. 10 stores slated to be open at the end of this year. Doesn't look like it now. So they had stores that were ready to be open the end of this year and also beginning of next year, but that's all being put to a halt is what it looks like. All about the tourist dollar is the next part. Let's see. Exclusive access to lounges would have given current cannabis retailers a head start on cornering the market for recreational cannabis consumption had they opened as scheduled by the end of this year. Lounges also would have drawn tourists away from the Strip. That's the big one, especially for the big hotels and casinos. And keeping visitors on property is the name of the game for casinos, which is true. And that's any business. They want to keep people in the business for the most part. They want people there spending money. I mean, even YouTube. You watch YouTube videos, YouTube wants people to keep watching YouTube videos, okay? Because it helps YouTube. So here's an interesting part here. So threatened by the potential loss of tourism at Strip nightclubs, restaurants, and concert venues, the Nevada Resorts Association, the gaming industry's largest lobbying body, last September sent a letter to Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman urging her not to pass an ordinance allowing consumption. When their plea failed, because remember the city council already said, hey, we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. When their plea failed at the local level, Nevada's Resorts Association went to the next level and took it to state legislators, because if the state outlaws it, then the city can't override it. So that's really what's going on. The city said, we want to do this, and the lobbying body didn't like it, so they went to the state, and the state said, okay, nobody across the state can now have social lounges. Communities, here's a quote. You guys might find this interesting. Communities have little or no experience with the impacts of lounges on the communities or surrounding businesses. That came from the Nevada Resorts Association president, Virginia Valentine. The stall tactic, as Nevada Cannabis Industry is calling AB 533, will allow gaming to hold off on losing business. If marijuana is not federally legal by 2021, dispensary owners like Mueller and Hawkins that I mentioned earlier, they expect Nevada Resorts Association to step back in and kick the can further down the road. So the cannabis industry is basically bracing themselves, saying that, they know they're up against a big political fight against the big resort casinos because they've got so much more money. So they know that they're really in a tough spot to grow their business because the state won't allow it. And they don't have the kind of money that the casinos do to, influence politics like the casinos have. So they just know that they're really in a tough spot unless the federal government comes in, the federal government legalizes it, and then it's basically fair game for everyone. Let's see. Sisolak had to choose. This is getting towards the end here. So this is interesting because Sisolak had supported both of these. He supported cannabis and he supports gaming. So Sisolak had long been a supporter of Nevada's cannabis industry, and his administration helped guide a number of progressive bills into law this session. But, there's a big but, his support of and from the gaming industry has much deeper roots. For the governor, whose days of accepting high-dollar donations from gaming vendors goes back to his 10-year stint on the Clark County Commission, the Resorts Association might have as well as been a mandate. MGM Resorts, Stations, Casinos, and Las Vegas Sands accounted for the governor's 3 largest donors for his gubernatorial campaign last year, donating a combined $330,000 to the 2018 election cycle. This is pressed whether Sisolak pushed the bill to appease his gaming donors. His spokeswoman declined further comment. None of the casinos could be reached for comments, as MGM alone donated over $170,000 to the governor. They also everybody just declining comment at this point. So in the last part here actually puts a little bit of responsibility on the cannabis industry. It says the cannabis industry essentially just stood by and watched this whole thing go down. It says perhaps the most surprising is while gaming did its damage, Nevada's cannabis industry essentially stood by and watched. They have a deep fracture going on over a December disagreement over the allocation of 60 new marijuana licenses from the Nevada Department of Taxation, basically saying that there was corruption in how these licenses were issued. So there's a lawsuit going on right now. And then the article closes here with a quote by Tick Segerblom, a longtime state senator who was the driving force behind legal marijuana from 2013 to 2018, and he now sits actually on the Clark County Commission. Says Segerblom, a Democrat, was essentially powerless as the governor and state legislators from his own party worked to reverse what he had long worked to pass. And Segerblom says, hey, we're missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. He says it's just mind-boggling. So that's what's going on here in the state of Nevada when it comes to marijuana. You think of a place like California that already have social use lounges. Colorado, I think, has them. If they don't have them yet, I think they're working on it. So Nevada was a place that really could have, gone ahead and done this and passed this, but they did it because there's obviously other parties who have other interests involved in this matter. So the Las Vegas City Council was willing to step out first and say, hey, we'll allow use in the Las Vegas City area, which is, again, I think it would have been a good idea to let it try it locally and see how it works, and then you can try it on a larger scale. But that's something that the state was like, nope, we're not going to wind up doing it that way. So we'll see how this progresses in the future. These dispensaries now, they are at least 2 years away from being able to open their own lounges within their own dispensaries. Like I said, some of them have thousands of square feet of space that they bought to use for lounges that now they can't use it for that. They got to use it for something else in the meantime. Tell me what you guys think about this down below as it comes to dispensaries and marijuana use here in the Las Vegas area. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so down below. I appreciate all of you guys watching this video. That's going to be it for this one. I'm Jacob. This is My Life in Vegas.